Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar today. Before we start, I'm going to quickly do some housekeeping rules. This is a presentation that would be done by our expert teams. On the right-hand side, there is a Q&A. Any questions, we will just type it there and we will get back to you. Today, our market development team, Andrea Granata and Barry Kassab, we will take you through and introduce the ADX5D new product, belongs to the Axient digital family. So Andrea, without delaying this, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And that we housekeeping rules, but as you can see, we are still partly working from home. So please bear with us in case we have any network issue or anything unexpected happens. You know, cats, kids, that can get in the middle. So can you move to the next slide, please? I've been joining Shure 7 years ago, and since then I've been working together with the broadcast market, trying to provide solutions for different applications, being them ENG, being them big studios at just like NBC or being sport. And I saw our offer and our capability of solving problems growing during these years. We had multiple bits and pieces to our portfolio to make sure we can accommodate the needs of a broadcaster. So as Sidney Shure said, we know very well that absolute perfection cannot be attained, but we will never stop striving for it. And this is exactly what we are doing about the broadcast market. So if 7 years ago when I joined, our offer was somehow limited, and now I can say proudly that we have a full portfolio to cover every and each need. Few words about Shure. Obviously, we are very well known as we were known as a rock and roll company. We provide microphones for the most important musical events. After 2 years now into this pandemic, it's hard to remember the days where concerts were an everyday affair, but we can't see the time to have people on stage again. And we provided microphones not only for that, but also for the most important events, sporting events, such as the Olympics or ceremonies, awards. And we also have a long history in the broadcast market. Just as an example, I'd like to mention the 55, probably one of the most iconic microphones, together with the SM58. The 55 was launched before World War II, and it was pretty bulky because it was used mostly for radio shows. But when television became more and more important, then we felt the need to redesign the microphone in a slimmer form, exactly to make the cameraman more happy and not to have this big mic in front of the face of a talent. By the time we obviously moved a lot from there, and our offer in terms of microphone is pretty wide. I won't mention, of course, the very well-known microphone. I just want to remind you that SM works for 58 and many other microphones. Is not stage microphone, but it's studio microphone, and they have been realized initially mostly for broadcast application. Today in our portfolio, we can offer a wide variety of solutions. Here you can see some of them. The SM63 and the P64 are the typical omnidirectional microphones for interviews. They can work in the most challenging environments, from rain, dust, wind, and they are very well known for their robustness. As well as we have a wide variety of shotgun. Here you can see 3 of them. The most popular, I would say, the P89, but it's a modular shotgun microphones that comes with 3 different sizes depending how directional you need your mic to be. Next slide, please. Recently, I said we improved a lot our offer, and one major step in this regard was definitely the launch of Twimplex. Twimplex is a lavalier microphone, and the name is divided in two parts. One is twin, and the other one is plex. So let's find one by one what it means. It's called twin because the capsule itself is not a single diaphragm, but it's a dual diaphragm, as it happens for the most recognized studio microphones, big condenser mic that you see around. It has two diaphragms that are giving you a better sound, a much better response in the bottom end, and overall a much more natural frequency response. But the second part is as well important. Plex refers to the cable. Twimplex has a medical grade cable that has been developed over 5 years at Shure with a lot of trial and error and research and development to achieve a result that is pretty unique. This cable outperformed by 100 times everything we did before. And but it's not only that. The cable is a part of the microphone itself, meaning that everything has been engineered and integrated in a way that the cable and the microphone become one thing only. This is why the cable cannot be replaced, cannot be disconnected and replaced at the microphone, because it's all one body, one thing only. It's very hard to destroy. Like you can, if you don't cut it with an axe, is very hard to break. And the result is a cable that is the most silent cable around for lavalier and headset microphone. After Twimplex, we did something else, and it was the launch of Duraplex. Some of you probably already tried these two microphones. Duraplex is our first IP-rated microphone. So IP rating means that is resistant to dust and it's resistant to water. But it has also, to get the IP rating, you need to follow some rules. And Duraplex is following all of them because the capsule is completely sealed from whatever is outside of the mic itself. And it's using a pretty unique technology. So this microphone is sharing some of the characteristics of Twimplex, particularly the cable, but of course also the form factor, the variety of colors, and also the variety of accessories that come with a mic in order to accommodate the needs of theater, of broadcasters, and with the different type of mounting solution that you can look for while you have a lavalier microphone. Both series will give you different caps in order to tailor the frequency response to your specific need, and they also come with a wide variety of connectors. More wide is the variety of Twimplex. Duraplex is coming only with TA4F and LIMO termination that are still more than enough to accommodate the most common wireless system around. And of course, the cable is the same. The idea is the same, to have a cable that integrates with the mic. And both product line will offer the highest RF immunity because we see that these microphones need to be coupled with great wireless system. And here we go back a little bit in time, and we talk about the moment we launched Axient Digital. I think it was 2017. And we launched this new digital wireless system in the market. This was unique and it was different from anything else because Axient Digital is not just transmitter and the receiver, but it's a complete family of devices that will help you manage the spectrum in many different aspects. We started from a completely redesigned and brand new modulation scheme. So all the RF part was brand new back in the days. And now you may say, oh, but now it's not new anymore. Actually not. We are consistently always working in improving this platform and making it better. And with the latest changes in technology, we can update the system in order to keep it ahead of everything else. This new modulation scheme and the way that the digital word is encoded before transmission allowed us to introduce functionalities such as the channel quality meters that change completely the way engineers can look at wireless systems. When we talk about Axient Digital, we talk about a system that is as transparent as if you are having a wire, and sometimes it can be even more solid because it has different ways to connect from transmitter to receiver. And we also improved our offer in terms of audio output to accommodate the needs of broadcast stations or high-profile events. So our receivers are equipped with Dante digital audio network, AS3 output, and of course the good old analog connectivity. We built Axient Digital on top of an existing ecosystem already, and we adapted this ecosystem to Axient Digital. I'm specifically referring to the software that comes with all our wireless system. So it's about wireless workbench that can give a new level of control and confidence regarding RF spectrum and its management. Just an example is kind of announced. Wireless workbench has been chosen as a main tool to coordinate all the PMSE, so the wireless microphones and the in-ear monitors at Expo 2020, as it's been the tool of choice in many other situations. The last pillar about Axient Digital is its hardware and scalability. We wanted a system that could be used in many ways, in different ways, by different users. And we divided the transmitters in two categories. One is the AD, that is the more traditional system, so it gives all the benefit of Axient Digital, but in a more traditional way. The other category is ADX. The X stands for remote control. Remote control is a characteristic of ADX transmitter that allows us to perform a series of tasks in a much faster and efficient way than ever before. In example, you can change the frequency at your receiver, and this will reflect automatically on your transmitter, even if the transmitter is not in your hands. Because of that, we have been able to do interference detection and avoidance. That is a pretty unique feature of Axient Digital. And as I said, it's not about a transmitter and a receiver, but there are other components that are crucial for Axient Digital functionalities. And one of them is the Spectrum Manager. The Spectrum Manager is a spectrum analyzer that can memorize a list of backup frequencies, possibly calculated by wireless workbench or self-calculated by the Spectrum Manager itself. And all these backup frequencies are always monitored and ready to be deployed in case of any interference happening in your RF spectrum. In terms of form factor, AD and ADX are similar, but not exactly the same. So we have, of course, in AD family, as you can see in the little picture, we have an handheld and a body pack, I'd say traditional, and then the new plug-on transmitter that can virtually make any XLR audio source wireless. For ADX, we introduced the handheld first together with the body pack and the micro body pack. That is a pretty unique type of transmitter. It's the only one in this class that has no external antenna, so it's very easy to conceal. It has an internal antenna that can self-tune for maximum efficiency, and it's extremely small, and it's very helpful whenever you need to put a microphone on someone who has light clothes. And here in Dubai, especially now it's summer, light clothes are a very important need. And the last piece that we added to the ADX family is what we are talking more in details today, and it's the portable receiver ADX5D. Last but not least, part of this, the last part of this platform is the show link. That is what we have been using for years now to connect. It's an access point that we use to connect the transmitter together with the receiver, put them in the same network, and have control over our system. Now I'm happy to show you some success stories of Axient Digital and what we have been doing around the world with this amazing wireless system.
Thank you very much. My name is Barry Kassab, and I'm going to take over from that point. So, as my colleague Andrea mentioned earlier, is that the Axient Digital has a lot of features that started with it, but it's something that we are expanding on. So it's a very scalable system, and it's made to even last furthermore. So starting first with more details about our plug-in transmitter, which is something that a lot of people know about, which is pretty much you plug it into any XLR source and you convert it to wireless. But Shure went above and beyond with this, is that they want to make something that is sturdy and robust. So the first feature I'd like to mention about this system is that, or that transmitter, is that it has a very innovative secure lock on the XLR. So most of the plug-in transmitters, they would have a tooth that latches on the XLR source or the microphone, and that's it, which is a way to lock in the microphone. But Shure added here another secure lock, which is a swivel cylinder in the bottom. So after you lock in the XLR, you rotate that bottom cylinder, and it actually locks the tooth into the XLR source. So no matter how the presenter moves the microphone, or if he's in a place where he's actually quite excited or there's a lot of movement, he always makes sure that the source is locked on the transmitter in that case. Of course, the transmitter was made with a very simple user-friendly remote control menus. It supports AA batteries and our standard SB900 rechargeable batteries. It's housed in a lightweight rugged metal chassis, and of course, it is resistant to sweat, moisture, and debris. Moreover, our displays right now are all OLED high-contrast displays, which is very easy to read, even in the harshest conditions, under the sun or in the darkest place. And the interesting part as well is that it comes with a nice and easy-to-use USB port, where you can actually charge the battery or even operate the transmitter from an external source if needed. The examples of applications here can be even used with our VP89 shotgun microphones, as you can see in the picture, and of course with our standard handheld microphones, the VP64 or the new VPH handle, which actually accommodates all of the wireless cartridges, which is actually a wired handheld with a built-in preamp, which makes all our cartridges easy to be used in broadcast. Now, the latest in the family is our Axient Digital receiver, portable receiver, the ADX5D. This is not a standard portable receiver. This is like a very new in the market in terms of concepts, and it came to actually resolve a lot of issues and challenges. Now, starting first here, I'm going to share a video where actually we can see the quick features about it. So as you can see in the picture and in the video, all of the applications where the receiver can be used. Of course, this is made specifically or primarily for electronic news gatherings, ENG, and electronic field production, mostly for film and documentaries, and of course for sport events. Now, of course, the receiver inherited a lot of the features from the standard Axient digital receiver, the AD4. And what's better than having all of the features that you have in your standard receiver? So starting first here with the features, which is the standard dual slot in form factor with impeccable audio quality, of course, and high resistant to water, moisture, dust, and dirt with no IP rating. And the reason, of course, because it is made to be compatible with third-party equipment and, of course, with cameras, which is not all IP rated. It has a wide tuning range, the standard 184 megahertz, high spectral efficiency, high density mode, true digital diversity, which was brought in newly into the wireless systems, which ensures a very robust functionality of the wireless system in the harshest signal to noise ratio conditions. And of course, the network controlled to be able to be compatible with wireless workbench and to control it from distance in a very easy manner from a front of house or whatever the place is. Now, the added features that came specifically for the ADX5D are here. And the first one to mention here is actually a 5-segment control or 5-segment quality meter. If you heard before that, my colleague Andrea mentioned that this was something new that was brought into the Shure family, which is the quality meter that ensures that even with 1 bar, that your audio quality is robust and 100% clear. So that was actually in the LCD display or in the OLED display before. And you need to actually look there to see that meter. So we brought that out to be actually on the surface outside in a dedicated meter right on the front panel. Of course, one other feature which is very important is the show link capability. And of course, that will be explained further down the line. It's in 2 features, which is the direct mode and the network mode. It comes with a very easy to use and very interesting 3.5 millimeter jack that you can actually customize. I'm going to talk that in details as well. High resolution OLED display, and this was very interesting, and it was tailored to the sound recordist in the field where they are able to see that in harshest conditions, in a high bright light or in a dark room. And it's one of the probably we are very unique in the display size and the usage of OLED display in the market against competition. The user interface was also made very typical to sound recordists. It's very self-intuitive. They can go through that, and it makes a lot of sense to them. Of course, low latency down to 2 milliseconds. Very interesting as well, where low latency is required today, especially with digital equipment, plus a lot of added accessories, which I'm going to cover down the line as well today. Now, to go further, we know our Axient digital receiver. We talked about it, the AD4D, which is the dual. Now, if you add to it some Show-Link capabilities here, that will be our ADX5D. So how is that there? Simply, I'm going to talk about the modes right now, which are specifically explaining how the Show-Link capability that is built into the receiver is. So the first one is actually the direct mode, and that is a very standard where you actually sync your transmitters to the receiver, and then the receiver will have controllability of the transmitters, where you can change the gain, change the frequency if you have already a written backup frequencies in case of something goes wrong. And of course, the receiver comes with a nice displayed spectrum, let's say, analyzer, where you can actually just show the occupied frequencies in the environment. So that will even give you a visual decision on what to avoid. Now, the network mode, and that's where it is interesting. The built-in Show-Link here can actually be networked with an actual Show-Link access point that my colleague Andrea mentioned earlier. And then it will expand the capability of that small network of transmitter and receiver with the ADX5D to be going out, and then you can actually monitor that on a laptop, for example, with wireless workbench. So then you can actually have a dedicated wireless engineer, or of course, if there's any other integration that is required. The final network mode here is actually when you expand an existing Axient digital platform that you have with all the racks and all the bells and whistles there into a ENG or a outboard recording facility where you actually can integrate both together through the Show-Link. That will also add another feature here, which is the interference detection and avoidance, since the Spectrum Manager right now comes into the picture. And then that's where the brain of the interference detection and avoidance is, and it will start changing the frequencies automatically without your interference and keeping everything streamlined. Now, talking about the side panel here, of course, starting first, we have the USB-C for firmware update utility and to be able to keep your system up to date. Shure is always aware on keeping all the systems up to date with latest trends or fixing any bugs if there's any. So the firmwares are something very important that we always keep our systems feeling like a brand new system out of the box. And then the 3.5 millimeter audio output, which I talked about earlier, which is very interesting here, where you have two different main features. One of them is a monitoring, and the other one is using it as a line out. In the monitoring, you can even standard use it as a stereo left and right, transmitter 1, transmitter 2 on your left and right, or you can actually solo one of them, for example, transmitter 1 or transmitter 2. And here, of course, I'm talking receiver channel 1 or receiver channel 2, same thing. And then you can sum both together and balance the audio between them. So if your primary is your channel 1 receiver and the secondary is channel 2, so you can balance it to make channel 1 bolder, broad, let's say up in the face, and the other one is back in the background. Now, when it comes to sending a signal out to, let's say, as a backup recorder, then you can actually use it as a line out, as a balanced line out, with the first and second transmitter together, summed up, or you can have to choose between the two. Now, talking about the on accessories, we have some accessories here related to the mounting, which is the cold shoe mount, if you want to use it on smaller cameras that doesn't have a slot. Or we have the L-type batteries, which is known in the industry with the L-type sled, so they can, in that case, use it as a standalone powered unit. And this is enabling to have even a hot swappable battery. So when you have two batteries, you can actually remove one, put it in the charger, put the other one back without powering it off. And that's quite an interesting feature here. Now, when it comes into the slot mount, these are the accessories that covers all the famous situations where you need to put the receiver in a slot. So we have the TA3 standard or standalone backplate mount, where it provides two analog outputs, the power connector, and of course here you can see that square connector at the left, which is made for the sled type. The output number 1 can be switched to be analog or AES. So if it's AES, then output number 2 is no longer there. And then you have a digital output in that case. The other two backplates are the DB25 and a DB15. DB25, of course, is quite common in the Unislot and Superslot, and a lot of the camera manufacturers as well. Of course, this is not hot swappable, so that means you need to take the unit out, power it off, replace the backplate with a small screwdriver. And of course, it comes with a spacer plate, which actually makes sure that that excess height out of the camera is not going to let the receiver to be flimsy or rattling in the camera. So you put that spacer and you screw it in, and then it keeps it sturdy in. And then, of course, we have the DB15, which comes with the same kind of spacer as well. Those are, of course, whatever features there are actually country related. So make sure that your regulations in the country are actually allowing some of those features in. These are some pictures from the applications in the market where you have the L-type, or you have the standard standalone in the SL2 or SL6 with the sound devices. And of course, some other pictures in the field where it's actually in a nice trolley with all the other accessories, or you can even use some of our 874 antennas with an antenna distributor, and you can actually put them in and use whatever third-party equipment you have as well. This is a quick briefing about our ADX5D. I'm sure you have all some questions here and there, so please type them in, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much, and any questions, please type them in.